The AEW women's division is in a great place right now. They have a very strong talent pool right now, and wrestlers like Layla Hirsch, Thunder Rosa, and Serena Deeb to lead their division. And this is just the American side. Recently, the women's tournament reintroduced us to the Japanese group that were once set to take over AEW. We hope to see more storylines like the women's tournament that shines a positive light on the division, because historically, that hasn't been the case. Generally speaking, the women's storylines are not given a spotlight on Dynamite. Devoting only one segment on Dynamite gives the women's division little time to develop their abilities, their characters, or progress storylines. There's only one exception to the rule: Britt Baker. Since the start of Dynamite, Britt has been given a segment nearly every single week, and because of that, she has grown to be one of the best parts of the show. Let's explore how she got to be this way. Britt Baker started her AEW career struggling to define herself. That first year in AEW was an exciting time because it felt like everyone was trying to prove themselves to a new fan base. Britt wasn't any different. She wanted to stand out in every opportunity, and that's one of the most consistent aspects about her. Every time Britt walked out, someone on commentary would usually put over that she should be seen as a role model for having a day job as a dentist. So it's a pretty crazy schedule to try to juggle both jobs at the same time, so it's understandable that they wanted to highlight that. However, it didn't get over in the way that I think they wanted it to. In an interview with Sunday Night's Main Event, Britt placed the blame on Jim Ross for constantly bringing up her second profession.
Being a dentist and a professional wrestler is super inspiring, and it's super successful. I have 2 plan A careers, but not everybody has that. So not everybody wants to hear that every second of the day. I blame JR with full-blown respect. JR, he really screwed me because he said on every single freaking episode of Dynamite that I was a dentist 100 times, to the point that it just wasn't cool anymore. And it's not my fault. Certainly not my fault. So it's got to be JR's.
She was a face. She was like a good, like, happy-go-lucky role model, and JR kept pushing the fact that she's a dentist and she's a role model, and he kept saying that enough to the point where the fans just did not care. She got Rocky Maivia syndrome, where like they were just like didn't care about her. They didn't care about this face that's supposed to be one of the best wrestlers in the company, and she's a dentist, so you got to root for her. And so the fans turned on her, and then she took that role model thing, but she made those posters like how to be a role model, rule 1, rule 2, and she even says things. She constantly references JR.
To quote the legendary Jim Ross, "Be the baddest bitch on the block."
I think that's a cut. Like, I think she's trying to undercut JR, because I think maybe in the back he's just like, "Oh, listen, you got to be the baddest bitch on the block," and she's just like, and she maybe took offense to it, which I would be fine with. And now she constantly says, "Oh, just like JR says, I'm the baddest bitch on the block." She always prefaces it with that, which I think is very funny.
At the same time, she also leaned into this new sarcastic yet cocky attitude. She took the role model idea and turned it on its head.
That most recent, where she just comes out and she's just like, "I'm a role model. I have 2 plan A's.
I have 3 degrees, 2 plan A's, and I was the first woman signed to All Elite Wrestling."
I love that line. I have 2 plan A's. Like she doesn't need any of this. She's never needed any of this. She wants this. She's going to get this. She takes it. And that's what she does.
This declaration was a character-defining moment. It felt like everything clicked for her after announcing her 2 plan A's. She developed this better-than-you role model persona every week in her promos. By pushing her character more than her wrestling, her strengths hid her weaknesses.
Her lockjaw move, I just love that. I thought it was really, I think that's literally a perfect pairing of a finishing move with a character. Almost like the tombstone pile driver for The Undertaker. You know, just something that fits so well. She's literally giving you a dental exam, like an oral exam, as you're having the match, which I thought was just perfect.
Unfortunately, as she started gaining a new on-air confidence, she suffered 2 big injuries seemingly back-to-back. She broke her nose in a match against Hikaru Shida in April, and then broke her leg a couple months later in a tag team match after a botched landing from Nyla Rose. Despite those setbacks, AEW doubled down on her. She couldn't wrestle anymore, but she remained a TV presence with a promo nearly every week on either Dark or Dynamite. As a result, her character work got better and better, especially her relationship with Reba and Tony Schiavone. She helped develop Tony's on-air character from this, and through these promos he showed a new silly side that I haven't seen him before. It's really endearing. Plus Reba is incredible too. They make such a great pairing.
Her personality shines when she has someone to play off of. Like, she can hold a promo on her own, but when you really start to love her is her interactions with Tony. That's almost like the Mean Gene Hulk Hogan to me. She's found her foil, which is Tony and Reba.
That's actually when I started to really pay attention to her as well, was those Tony segments where I realized like something special was happening there. I was in the, I was at the Austin AEW where she called the entire audience a bunch of chubby Whataburger faces.
Oh, you were?
That
was cool. Electric.
I'm seeing a lot of confusion in these chubby Whataburger faces, so let me provide some clarification for you.
The moment she said chubby Whataburger faces, the entire place blew up. We were pissed. We were very angry. Whataburger means a lot to Texans. Just so the fact that she knew to do that, or even if someone told her to do it, that she pulled it off and got that like much of a reaction out of everyone, showed she has really big things coming in her future. Once Britt healed up, she was given her own talk show on Dark called The Waiting Room. This was another guarantee for Britt to get airtime each week and hone her acting chops with different talent that she wouldn't normally interact with.
I love The Waiting Room. Reba as a sidekick is so funny to me, because no matter what her boss says, she's always laughing, and the dumbest laugh.
What is a dentist's favorite dinosaur? A velociraptor. All right. Now let's get serious. We want to give a big congratulations.
It gets me. I'm laughing just thinking about it. My thing is with talk show segments, historically, they have moments, but overall, they're not very good as a whole. Roddy Piper, the Piper's Pit, like, oh, everyone talks how legendary it is. We've only seen 3 Piper's Pits. We've only really seen, if you look at the other ones in between, were terrible. They were terrible segments with wrestlers that didn't want to be there. Piper didn't want to be there. They were acting awkward. It was uncomfortable. And like, there's been ones over the years that have gotten a little bit better. Like Jericho's, the highlight reel was pretty good. Had some cool moments, but mostly to build his storylines. Now her shows, each one is funny. There's something funny about it. It gets awkward in there, but everything in AEW is awkward because no one's planning anything. So for an unplanned talk show segment, boy, does it hit all the marks for me. They get those characters over. She takes her time. She gets away whenever there's 2 wrestlers there. They kind of have their deal. She knows how to step back, but she also knows how to get her character in and put digs in. I can't say enough positive things about The Waiting Room.
During that first year of AEW, the women's division was hit the hardest. The division has had a lot of bad luck in 2020, with multiple restarts due to injuries, COVID restrictions, or just plain weird storylines that fans did not jump on. Yet throughout all of that, Britt Baker was always given screen time.
I think it's a combination of when they started out, and still to this day, they're heavy nepotism.
Nothing like a little old-fashioned nepotism, am I right? Huh?
So when the show started out, the only 2 females on the roster that got any airtime were Brandi and Britt Baker. But in comparison between her and Brandi, what they've done with their time on screen and how they've chosen to become better and bigger and better performers, Britt Baker blows her out of the water. Britt Baker has excelled in everything that she's been given. She's been given a lot. She's definitely been given a lot. She's been given a lot of TV time and a lot of opportunities. But to be honest, they're deserved. She's like the Charlotte Flair of AEW for me, where she's like, I think, a very good wrestler, amazing personality, that is such a huge character. I don't understand how you couldn't put her in the title picture.
Britt's in-ring work has finally caught up to her. Britt and Thunder Rosa's Lights Out match is one of the best matches in AEW history and one of the best women's matches, period. Words can't do it justice, you should just check it out. Like any great feud, it's filled with callbacks to their previous matches along with big, shocking moments that generally aren't seen in women's matches anymore. It's a game changer.
I was telling you, Renee, I was ready to die. I'm like, let's fucking go. I've been here from the beginning, from day one of AEW. I was the first woman signed. I've been through it all with the women's division. It sucks. They're not ready for TV. They're this, they're that. And I feel like this was like the opportunity to prove the legitimacy of the division and say that, like, no, we do have a dog in this fight in women's wrestling. So I was just so motivated and I was so ready to go.
Britt Baker is a great example of someone who is given the time to grow and develop in front of an audience, and it's going to pay off for AEW greatly in the future. Here's hoping that they will continue to grow and nurture the women's division from here. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that video, please give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this. And if you want to hear more from Red and I, then maybe listen to our podcast too. Check out Loser Leaves podcast for AEW Dynamite recaps and the news you can't lose.